in Philadelphia. I am Carol Clark Lawrence, Chair of the Catto Memorial Fund, and this is Jim Stahl, my partner and president of the fund. Joining me on stage is our mayor, our VP of the Catto Lodge, Catto Memorial. The lodge is here. They're in number, lodge number 20. And our most esteemed guest, Brandley Catto. The sculptor of the memorial. We're also thrilled to welcome the family of Octavius Catto, the great-great-nephew of Octavius. The family is here. Let's make sure we give them a round of applause. Words cannot express our elation and your attendance to this austere, belated homecoming of one of our cities, no, this country's heretofore unparalleled leader, and I dare say martyr. Over 15 years ago, then City Council member Jim Kenny's vision to create a memorial dedicated to Octavius Catto spurred a life of its own, as the merits of this pursuit ignited the commitment of Straw, Deb Palmer, Lee Chapman, and myself, along with an illustrious committee of individuals that focused on fundraising and the message. Today, September 26, 2017, shall forever mark the date Mayor Jim Kenny's dream becomes a reality. We are thrilled to celebrate the legacy of Octavius Catto, and we welcome him to his City Hall home, where this memorial will become the first dedicated to a sole African American.
Good morning, Philadelphia. And it is a good morning. For me, it is very difficult after 15 years and a huge effort to reach this wonderful conclusion. It is hard for me not to fight back tears of joy. In a few short moments, you will learn more about the extraordinary life and accomplishments of Octavius Valentine Catto. It was an historic and heroic life. Also a very interesting life, as here is a man with many facets and many interests. As part of our celebration this morning, our celebration of Catto's life and accomplishments, we have invited participants who represent many of the facets of Catto's life, but they represent them in today's world. The Institute for Colored Youth became Cheney University. And we are honored to have Cheney board members, officers, and alumni. Catto was an educator. We are blessed to have the school district of Philadelphia and a powerful array of educators and interpreters with us this morning. Catto was, of course, a community leader. This morning we have representatives of the Union League of Philadelphia. Catto was closely aligned to the Union League during the war and after the war, as his attention turned from civil war to civil rights. His military service is remarkable, and we have representatives from the Pennsylvania National Guard. He was a major in the Pennsylvania National Guard, the O.V. Catto Society, the American Legion Post number 405, Military Order of the Loyal Legion of the United States, and the 3rd Regiment of the United States Colored Troops. Here with us today. As an athlete, we are represented by 2 members of the Philadelphia Phillies organization and a very interesting group of men called the Athletic Baseball Club. They are the descendant club of the Athletic Baseball Club, which was founded in 1859-1860, and they are with us this morning. And finally, as activists, we are represented by members of the judiciary and legal community. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller. He is the senior pastor of Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church for an invocation.
Let's bow our heads. God, we bless you for this day. We thank you for the life and legacy of Octavius Catto. We stand today celebrating the legacy of education, the legacy of voting, the legacy of engagement, civic engagement, the legacy of family, the legacy of struggle and triumph. We come today to celebrate that even though there are forces that would seek to pull us apart, we are greater together, and we are greater when we are unified. And in this singular figure, we are reminded of the greatness of who we are and who we yet shall be. I pray today that young people would be inspired. I pray today that communities would be inspired to come together. We pray that even after the unveiling, every time someone rides around this earth, we'll be reminded that the best is yet to come. For indeed, we sit on an old mat, weaving anew. We weave a new history, a new destiny. And we thank you that it begins with this historic figure. Bless now all who will speak. Bless all who will participate. Bless us, O God, that we might live up to the high ideal, OBK. I ask this in the name that is significant to me. In the name of Jesus the Christ, I do pray. Let us all say, amen.
It's my pleasure to introduce B. Chapman Smith, our VP of the O.V. Catto Memorial Fund, and also key to the educational initiatives that are very important to the memorial and to the fund.
Good morning. So glad to see such a glorious crowd here for O.V. Catto. It is my honor to share some of my personal insights into Catto's life. I've been trained as a civil rights historian, and so I tend to use that lens when I think of him. One of the important benefits of historical perspective is that it allows one to put a broader lens on events and contributions of individuals. History looks at change over time, not just a single event at a moment. It helps us to understand why events and individuals matter. This long lens is most important now when considering O.V. Catto and what he means to Americans. Monuments are not neutral, passive, or accidental. They carry great meaning. With this broader list, I can emphatically say that Catto is truly among our city's pathanons of grace and is one of our nation's most important citizens who work for the good of America. During his time, he was seen as the most magnetic and promising leader that the Philadelphia community had yet produced. His death during an election run aimed to suppress the black vote in 1871 was a tragic loss to his family and friends, the African American community in our city, and a host of colleagues and allies beyond the black community here. It was a great loss to his white allies, particularly General Louis Wagner, who orchestrated Catto's large public funeral down Broad Street here. Nationally, Catto was a tragic loss to the network of black leaders he worked with. The network included other greats like Frederick Douglass and Henry Highland Garnett, William Still, and James Mercer Langston. One can only imagine what Catto would have further contributed if he had lived. But what is important for us today to know is what, when looking at his life and achievements through the lens of history, is that Catto's contributions are even larger and more significant than how they were seen at the time of his death. And it is this magnification which makes this dedication of this memorial today even more consequential. Catto's life and legacy tells us how our young people and community are critical to effecting social change. Catto was around 16 years old when he started to speak up. He and his family arrived in Philadelphia in 1848 to a dynamic and politically active free black community that had already built many founding institutions. Among them, St. Thomas Church, whose choir you heard today, Mother Bethel, the Free African Society, and the first African Presbyterian Church, where his father served as minister. Years later, Catto would join St. Thomas as a vestryman. Catto was truly shaped and educated by his family and his family's adopted home. William T. Catto instilled in his children a sense of honor, responsibility, and service to others. Building on this family foundation, it is here in Philly that Catto received one of the finest educations afforded to African Americans at the time, attending the private school, the Institute of Colored Youth, that had both a rigorous academic curriculum and gave its students exposure to important issues of the day, with visiting leading thinkers, activists, and politicians. There, Catto's mind was shaped by two great principles, Charles Reason and Ebenezer Bassett, and where he built friendships with two other young people who were part of his crusades. These two people were Jacob White Jr. and Carolyn LeConte, who became his fiancée, but both became the first African-American principals of black public schools. And it is also at ICY where he became a colleague of great women educators like Fannie Jackson and Sarah Mapes Douglas. Philadelphia empowered Catto at an early age. His family and community encouraged him and other youth to speak up their views and take civic responsibilities. As a young man, Catto strengthened our community through his efforts to desegregate public transportation and his recruitment of black troops, the U.S. colored troops for the Civil War, and some of the reenactors are there. As an educator, he trained students who eventually served as teachers in much-needed public schools for blacks. And in his dying effort, he worked to galvanize the black vote so Black men would have a voice in shaping the politics of our city and our nation. Catto knew how to form alliances that help him and others achieve the results they sought. This is especially true in his work with the founders of the Union League, among them Morton McMichael, Henry Boker, and Congressman William Kelly. It was through such alliances that Catto, Frederick Douglass, Robert Fortin, and others were able to build success and gain passage of key legislation. Although some today consider Catto a forgotten hero, he was indeed continually remembered in many circles of the Black community, both by individuals and a number of organizations, including the great Catto Elk Lodge and St. Thomas Church. Part of his story, too, is held in many archives of several of Philadelphia's premier cultural institutions. At the time of his death, Catto was known as an extraordinary orator, scholar, and educator. But what people did not know then is what would be the tentacles of those accomplishments. They did not know that Cheyney University would become a collegiate-level institution of education, training hundreds of educators, and including civil rights activists like Baynard Rustin, the brainchild of the March on Washington. They did not know that the Pythian Baseball Club, even though it dissolved after his death, that its name would be resurrected in the National Negro Baseball League and represented in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. What they did not know is that Catto's work in establishing public schools for freedmen and free blacks in Washington, D.C. would produce the most prestigious black high school in our nation by the end of the 19th century that gave us such accomplished graduates as Sadie Tanner Alexander, the granddaughter of Catto's friend Benjamin Tanner, and A.M.E. Bishop, Charles Hamilton Houston, who was known as the man who killed Jim Crow and was law professor and mentor to Thurgood Marshall. And that school would provide faculty positions for people like Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black history, who was born 4 years after Catto's death. Most significantly is that at the time of his death, they did not realize that his greatest contribution to our nation would come from his national work in ratifying the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to our Constitution. This is something we have only truly begun to understand now, and that is because we have the vantage point of hindsight. Catto was Philadelphia's standard bearer in his effort for constitutional changes. He was an officer in the Pennsylvania Equal Rights League, an arm of the National Equal Rights League. These freedom amendments, which the great Charles Sumner called sleeping giants, marked America's second revolution, forever changing the potential of what our country could aspire to be. Although there were dark days following Catto's death regarding these much expected rights and opportunity for equality that Catto and his colleagues envisioned, these laws remained in our Constitution and became the legal basis for efforts of the NAACP National Defense Fund under Charles Hamilton Houston and Thurgood Marshall. The laws provided the seeds for the modern civil rights movement and Martin Luther King. Catto's work laid the foundations that are the democratic values that we honor and value today. Yes, the issues of citizenship and voting rights and equality and opportunity remain unresolved, and it is for us to continue Catto's work today. But we now have this incredible memorial to help us pursue Catto's vision and continue to advance his legacy. Thank you.
time I listen to him, I learn something new about Obi Catto. It's just quite extraordinary. Little did I know that a phone call from then Councilman Jim Kenney to me 15 years ago would culminate in this moment. He is, as many have pointed out, the father of this movement and of this project and of this incredible memorial sculpture. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our mayor, Jim Catto.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming today. This is a tremendous day for me personally and for the city of Philadelphia. And I'm sure it is for all of you. Today, I thought it was never going to come. I am humbled to be the mayor and to honor and recognize a great American hero, a great African-American citizen of Philadelphia, Octavius Valentine Catto. Just clap for Obi. This memorial is the first of its kind to a Black American on public land in the city of Philadelphia. It has been a 15-year journey to get us here today. It started with our first meeting at the Union League, Carol and Jim and Debbie Mahler, my current deputy mayor, organized. After that, there were countless other meetings, fundraisers, receptions, meeting with the Arts Selection Committee, as well as our wonderful artist, the great Brantley Cadet. While many people have been involved in this project, too many for me to individually name and thank today, I must recognize and thank Carol, Jim, and Debbie, because without all of their hard work and dedication, this memorial would never have been built. It has been a true labor of love. While it's worth reflecting on the passage of those 15 years, during which time America elected our first African-American president, Barack Obama. Legally recognized love between consenting adults, regardless of their gender or sexual orientation, and guaranteed health care coverage for all Americans. We must also reflect on the passage of 146 years, almost to the day, on October 10th, 1871, a young 32-year-old Philadelphian was gunned down on South Street while urging other Black men to vote in the first federal election after the enactment of the 15th Amendment, guaranteeing them the right to vote. A lot has happened during these 146 years. A lot of good, but also a lot of not so good, especially in terms of how some Native-born minorities and newcomers were treated and continue to be treated in America today. The American experiment is a work in progress. Our greatest strength has always been our diversity. We have much more work to do in how we treat and view each other. Hopefully all of us can be inspired by the courage and determination of Obi Catto, who was willing to sacrifice his own life for liberty, for justice, and equality for all Americans. Octavius Catto is a true American hero. Like many other unheralded, nameless Black American heroes, should be revered, honored, and recognized. Their lives and accomplishments should be part of the daily curriculum of our schools, not just during the shortest month of the year. Obi Catto's story is the story of a courageous, unsung young American military hero who, like countless other unknown and seldom recognized Black Americans, contributed so much to make America great. Today we recognize the greatness and the humanity of this great American hero. A major in the Army during the Civil War, intellectual, an educator, athlete, civil rights activist who desegregated trolley cars in Philadelphia in the mid-1860s. And a good neighbor who walked the streets of our great city. Catto is a legendary American figure whose young life and tremendous accomplishments were cut short. But finally, he's being honored and publicly recognized today for generations to see, admire, and be inspired by, right here on the southwest corner City Hall. My hope is that someday every child in Philadelphia and every child in America will know as much as Octavius Catto as they do about George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and Dr. Martin Luther King. I want to take a moment to recognize the family of OV and thank them for traveling so far to join us today. The City of Philadelphia welcomes you and shares in your pride. And to Brantley Cadet, truly amazing artist. I know your mother and wife and many of your family have joined us here today. They must be beaming, they are beaming, I can see them. They're beaming with pride and rightly so. I am in awe of your talent, humbled by your humanity and ability to capture the essence of O.V. Catto and what he represented for his time, as well as the inspiration he provides all of us today as we confront a mean-spirited ugliness and intolerance emanating from our nation's capital. An intolerance that seeks to divide rather than unite this nation. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming today and for being good citizens of this great city and for helping make Philadelphia the greatest, most welcoming and diverse city in the world. And I want to say all the children who are assembled, and I'm so happy and so touched that there are so many young people here today. Your ancestors and forefathers contributed mightily to making this country and this city the great place it is to be, and we're never given credit for it. And you have the opportunity, by viewing this statue, to make your own contribution to our city and our country. And I know you can, because I know he did, and I know you will. God bless you. Introducing someone who I've grown to admire and admire his work, more importantly, admire him as a fabulous person. Our artist, Brantley Cadet.
So, welcome everyone. Shalom, bienvenue, namaste. Assalamu alaikum, bienvenidos, everyone. Usually when I unveil a piece, I prefer to keep my comments very brief and really allow the sculpture to speak for itself and for the viewers to have an opportunity to discover their relationship to the piece and to themselves. So I'll keep my comments short. In this design, I have endeavored to not only celebrate the life of Octavius Catto, but also the values that Catto and his peers embodied so brilliantly. Respect, growth, fairness, education, upliftment, and civic engagement. I pray that I have come close to meeting this goal, for these, I believe, are the values that represent the best of Philadelphia and the best of our beleaguered and beloved America. May the unveiling of this memorial herald a new era of celebration, herald a new era of acknowledgement and understanding, and herald a new era of deep and lasting healing. Finally, may the unveiling of this memorial herald an era of harmony among us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brantley. We appreciate your words. As you can notice, we have a number of people taking their places, so we can do the most amazing job of unveiling the Octavius V. Catto Memorial. The memorial consists of a collection of sculptural elements set in a circular arrangement. The elements include a granite abstraction of an 1860s trolley car, each engraved and adorned with text and images of Catto's various accomplishments in education, the military, sports, activism, and leadership. And now, we are ready.
We are blessed to have the 3rd Regiment U.S. Colored Troop here with us this morning, including an honor guard and a group who is ready to fire the first salvo. There will be 3 salvos, 1 for the trolley, 1 for the voting box, and 1 for the sculpture. Allow us to have, gentlemen, the first volley. Muskets are a little slow to reload.
great round of applause for the celebratory music by the St. Thomas Gospel Choir under the direction of Waltier director. Most exciting moment. Now we all have the opportunity to look at our O.V. Catto, and as I said, we welcome him home. We've all mentioned that it took us 15 years to get here. However, there's so many individuals that were part of our story. Without question, for those who have programs, there are a number of people who we can thank, from churches, private companies, corporations, foundations,